Hi, everyone. It is Coach BJ back with another edition of the Coach BJ Experience, client testimonial with one of my clients, Miss Sandy. If you can let us know who you are and tell us what you do, Miss Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy. I am 28. I am a teacher in Crofton, Maryland, and I teach first grade.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. So let's get started with the interview and just talk about your experience with working with me as a life transformational coach. So the first question I want to ask you is kind of tell me where you were prior to considering my services. Like, what was your state of mind? What was your situation like? What place where you were in your life at the time when you sought services from me?
I was in a dark place. I felt depressed. I didn't feel like myself. I didn't know who I was, what was going on. I just knew I needed to get out of whatever funk I was in and figure out what it was and what was keeping me there.
Yeah. So like I always try to tell people, so a lot of people, to your point, are maybe in that space. And so they typically use coping mechanisms, or they'll just stay in that cycle of darkness and just say, okay, well, I'll deal with it. Or they may say, or everybody deals with this. So I'll just work through it like most women do.
Mhm.
But for you, for instance, what was the event? Sometimes it's something that just kind of make you come to a screeching halt in your life and just say, you know what? Okay, I'm tired of going through this cycle. What do I need to do? So what is that for you?
Honestly, when I found myself laying in bed.
Mhm.
I was just depressed. I didn't feel like getting up. I was literally curled in bed in a ball. And
Mm,
then just turned over. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like
mm.
something has to change. I can't deal with this mindset anymore because it's gonna eat me alive.
Wow, yeah, and that's what people, come to this place of sometimes, and sometimes it's an event, and I guess for you, you're like, okay, it's just laying in the bed. This is not who I am, and so
Mm.
you sought my services. So, as I ask some of my clients, um, there are many life coaches out there,
Mm.
out there that you could have definitely turned to, talked to. What made you in particular reach out to me and trust me and believe that I could perform the outcome that you were looking for in your life?
Honestly, I prayed on it. I
Good.
prayed on it, and I'm just thinking what it is that I need. Who can I sit here and talk to that's not gonna judge? And then I remembered you're a life coach.
Yeah.
So I figured, you know what? Let me just reach out and try. I have a free service. Let me see if this is going to work for me.
Awesome, awesome, and I'm so glad you did. Trust me, when I got that call, I was like, "Oh my gosh, she remembered," We talked and I was a life coach, so yeah, so that's awesome. So one of the things that, I like to ask during these interviews is, you know, a lot of people really don't know about coaching, right? And so for you, tell us if you knew about coaching before, if there was anything you knew about it, and if not, what did you think coaching was like, and how did you think it would work for you? Like, what was that for you?
Honestly, I didn't know anything too much about coaching. I
Hmm.
just thought it was a different form of therapy.
Hmm.
And then once you actually sat down and explained to me what it is that you were doing, I'm like, oh, this isn't really looking into my past. It's looking into how I am as a person right now and what I can do in order to be better moving forward.
Right. And that is so true. And, as you say that, now look into your past, because I know dealing with therapy, to your point, it is more focused on your past and it's trying to help people get out of the cycle of, their past and being stuck and not having the ability to move forward. And I will say in coaching sometimes, and I think we might even did it in your session where we did probably took a look at your past, only how it relates to how it's impacting your future. And I
Mhm.
think that's where we kind of go in coaching. And so from that standpoint, I do more of the cognitive behavior therapy to try to really see what that looks like. Going into your past to really see where your mindset was, some of your experiences growing up, to help you
Mhm.
really link and align as to how this is impacting your adulthood. Maybe some of the decisions you would have made to, I'm going to say, cope as a child, really
Mhm.
help keep you safe. And then now it's like, okay, we're moving forward into the future. And, this is the same thing that's still impacting me.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's definitely, some of the things that we do. And so now that you have, worked with me for the last 12 weeks, tell me what has changed for you. How have you evolved over this time span that you was working with me in such a short period of time? Tell me what, how it was from the beginning until like, and I think really midway you was probably like, okay, I'm good, but the full
Mhm.
12 weeks, like what was that for you?
Gosh, like before we started, and even in the beginning weeks, I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I
Hmm.
would sweep everything under the rug and not acknowledge how I feel. Like I would know how
Hmm.
everyone else around me is feeling, but not self. And then halfway through, towards the end, like I finally realized my feelings matter too. I need to understand my own emotions because
Yeah,
if I can't understand my own, there's no way I can help anybody else.
that's
And
right.
to this day, if I'm struggling with something, that emotional wheel that you sent me, I still use it to figure out what it is that I'm feeling. So don't go back to that place where I'm laying in bed, completely checked out from the world. I don't do that anymore, and it feels amazing.
Awesome, awesome. I love it, Miss Sandy. And that is so true. That emotional will is really, it's so good. It's such a great tool to your point to really figure out, okay, I don't know what I'm feeling. I know I'm feeling some kind of way, but how am I feeling, right? And it helps you kind of pull out and identify, what that is for you. So that is so awesome.
Mhm.
So one of the next questions I have is that I look at coaching as the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because a lot of my clients, they take a lot of the tools and everything that I give them. Because a lot of people say, well, how do you think differently? How do you do this? And so they'll say, well, Coach BJ said, that's the biggest thing. Coach BJ said, and they'll start to give them some of the tools to help them move forward, right? And so what is that for you? What I would say that you took away from your coaching experience to help you evolve, where you can actually be a blessing and pass it on to someone else to help them evolve? What is one of the things that really stuck out for you, or even that you've already have passed on to someone else that has been able to help them get through a situation?
Just being able to differentiate my feelings in that moment
Mhm.
long term. How it
Mm.
affect me and what effect has it had on me and how can I pass that on to someone else? Because I've even tried that on my sister and it actually works. And it did help her, whatever she was going through. I just sat and had a simple conversation with her using the tools that you gave me, and it helped her.
Awesome.
So
That's what I
I'm
love. I didn't hear you say it again.
happy about that.
Yes, yes, me too. And that's what I love. I mean, like I said, it's just not about my clients, it's about how can my clients take what they've learned and be able to grow and help someone else evolve. And so that's really a gift for me in itself. And so one of the other things I would ask you is that if someone right now out there listening was considering hiring a life coach, me specifically, what would you tell them about your experience with working with me?
You're gonna have some tough conversations. You're gonna really have to dig deep and be open, but honestly, just willing to put in the work in order to get to your happy place. It's worth it in the end. 100% worth it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions that I have for you. So if you ever would think about looking for someone to help support you in the future, would you consider me using my services?
Yes, and I will definitely be coming.
Well,
Definitely.
I'm one of those ones that I would like to say that I like to work myself out of a job, right? And so that means that I want you to have the ability to stand independently on your own. I don't want you to have to always have to say, "Oh my gosh," And even those who use me long term, it's not because they need it, it's because they want it. So for them, it's like self-care, right? It turns from needing me to like, this is just self-care. And not just like every week coming to Coach BJ. And so we can really talk through good, bad, or indifferent, right? It's not about it always being something negative. And I think that's the misconception that people have is that, oh, when I go see a therapist or oh, when I go see a coach, it's all about problems. And that's not so, right? And so, like
Mhm.
I said, even though I love having the ability to work myself out of a job because I want you to be able to just use those tools long terms and just be happy and know that life is gonna
Mm.
happen, but then guess what? You have that tool belt to really take out your tools at any time to say, "You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna pull out this tool for this because, yeah, this is something that's bothering me." That's what I want my clients to walk away with and have the capability of doing once they finish having an experience with me. So, Miss
Mhm.
Sandy, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you reviewing and giving your testimonial in this interview process today. And I hope that this is going to be something that's going to help somebody move forward or at least consider coaching um,
Mhm.
with me as a life coach with the Source of Hope. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.